going to talk about Scientology today. What a bunch of weirdos. But before I get into that, I just happened to notice from a Facebook post a little review about John Candy. I don't care nothing about the dude, but I just thought it was interesting. Okay. For one, he died 43 years, 4 months, and 4 days. Well, what do we know about 44? Well, 44 is kill equals 44. And and again, you know, here it is, the anniversary, 68 years, 4 months, and 4 days. And this 108 right here, I mean, where have we seen that before? I mean, except like all over the place, because we mention it like all the time, you know? like everything we do, we mention that number, you know, like Julia Davis was 1080, which by the way is also a measurement of when you combine the diameter of the moon and the earth together. Okay, so that's why it's an important sacred number. Okay, and then if you take the circumference of an imaginary circle that would surround the earth and the moon and divide it by this number, you end up with pi. Okay, so that's why it's always associated with their death. You always see as 108 a lot of times associated with somebody's death. Okay, this is no accident. They planned this crap on purpose. Julia Davis died, okay, on 1080. Okay, like, you know, the Cole bombing was at 1118. There's a 1 and an 8 there. The Tree of Life shooting ended at 1108. The Las Vegas shooting was reported at 1008. August 19, 1965. Gemini the 5th was stopped from the countdown was stopped at 1:08 p.m. You know, not an accident. Okay, and I could do a bunch more. I mean, the Cole bombing at 11:18, Columbine at 12:08, and you know, it just goes on and on. So this 108 right here is pretty important. Okay, also likewise, now that's on the anniversary, but look, if you look at it on the day of his death here, 94, you see this number right here, 432. Why is that important? Well, because it's a 117 that we talk about all the time in every single video, because 117 doubled is 234, and this is mirrored. Okay, this is the mirror of 234, and when you add 234 plus 432, you end up with 666. Okay? So this is just sacred geometry to these people, and probably he was killed by these numbers. I mean, almost certainly. You know, I don't think this stuff just happens by accident. And then they bring it back up in the news just to catch your attention again. And, you know, his name, let's see. I think I saw even saw the date numerology right here, okay, for the story that came out on Facebook here. In memory of his death, okay, this date numerology is 46, just like his name in Jewish gematria is 1146. You see, so it's no mistake why they do these things. But now let's talk about Scientology for a minute. Okay, I went to college in Clearwater, Florida, and if you want to talk about some weird kooks out there, I mean, I've seen Baha'is, I have seen Hare Krishnas. I've talked to just about every religion you can think of out there. Taoists and Buddhists and... No, actually, I don't think I ever have met a Confucianist. I take that back. No, but just about everything else. Let's see. You know, I've had plenty of deep conversations with most of these people, with Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons, and all, of course, with Mormons, with oh, I don't know. You name it, I probably have had a conversation with them, except for Confucianists, because I don't think I've ever met one. But none of them compare in any way, shape, or form to these goofballs. We would go down, and we, you know, being an evangelical school, we'd go down and we would preach downtown in Clearwater on the streets, and we'd encounter these folks and try to talk to them. And the thing that you first notice is that weird look in their eye. Not, if it's just one, you'd ignore it, right? But every single one has that crazy look in their eye like they're spaced out. The second thing you notice that's really bizarre is they're all wearing these Navy uniforms, but none of them are in the Navy. So right off the bat, you're like, you're dealing with a bunch of weirdos. Well, in our attempts to talk to these guys, a friend of mine and we went and took a miniature tour of one of their buildings and asked them kind of what they did and that sort of thing. And they were nice enough to show us around a few basic things. Okay. And we'll talk about some of those things here in this little decode. And this decode could go on probably forever if you really want to dig into it. But I just want to show you some of the basics, stuff you can look up real easy on Wikipedia and that sort of thing. Just to give you some ideas. Okay, when do you think that L. Ron Hubbard, the founder of the Scientology religion, was born? Wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. 1911, 911. Now you say, well, there's probably a lot of people born in 1911. Yeah, but how many of them started a religion, You'll see so often that in these big ritual things that are just full of rituals and are full of gematria, you want to call it, that do everything by the numbers, that 911 is sure important. And in this case, instead of being born on 11/19 like Jalea Davis, or the Berlin Wall being dismantled on 11/9, or the Columbine shooting starting at 11/19, here this guy was born in 1911. Dolly Parton was born on a 1/19, which is why I got January 19, which is why I got interested in what's going to happen to her. I suspect she'll be at some point part of a ritual sacrifice as well. Now, let's just get into some more numbers here. L. Ron Hubbard is the guy's name. What a fruitcake. Go read about this guy, some of the weird stuff he's involved in. Well, you see in full reduction his number is 52. Well, guess what year Scientology began? If you guess 1952, you win the prize. Now, there's a current leader who took over after L. Ron Hubbard's, I don't know, I guess he disappeared. Some people say he died. I don't know. Well, David Miscavige is now in charge of the Scientology organization. And Flo, girl named Flo, was the mother of the current leader. And in my opinion, she was murdered. And guess how old? She was 52 years old. What are the chances of that? And died within the organization, seems to be sort of covered up a little bit, And she's not the only one, of course. There are more. What was L. Ron Hubbard's major first work called? Dianetics. Look how it's 39 in full reduction, like there's 39 books in the Old Testament. Here he starts a religion, and his first major work is also 39. Well, that's because these goofballs, they believe that if you take their course, which of course at the time when I asked one person down there how much he paid to go through this course, he told me it was something around $50,000 a year. Well, you go through this course and your goal is to get rid of the engrams from your past life. And at which point, if you do this successfully, you will become a clear. Also sums to 39. You'll see reverse full reduction to 33, which is like ritual completion, like the 33rd degree of masonry, And that's because it's related very much to Saturn worship. You see 39, 21, 96, right? Well, that's because those are your basic Saturn numbers, okay? 69, 93, 21, And you saw the 33 on Clear, right? Well, their main headquarters is not in Clearwater. Their first headquarters is in Las Vegas, which also in septenary sums to 33. They believe that they've been reincarnated for trillions of years, according to fiction author L. Ron Hubbard, who was a fiction author before he started the Scientology group. And wouldn't you know it, put my cursor back on it, reincarnation also sums to 69. Saturn worship, okay? So if you believe in reincarnation, you're just doing the rings around Saturn. You're just going around and around and around, Silliness. Absolute craziness. That's why, the rings of Saturn, you go around the Kaaba. If you're a Muslim, you say, oh, I don't believe in reincarnation, I'm a Muslim. And then you go and you at least once in your life, you're supposed to go to Mecca and walk around in a circle to imitate Saturn. I mean, come on. That's insanity. So, let's see. The wife of the current leader, her name, Shelley Miscavige, sums to 169, like Saturn. But then, wouldn't you know it, the girl who gets murdered has 83. I mean, what we know about that? I mean, that's the murder by numbers, because murder equals 83 and 38, you see. So this organization that was clearly founded by the numbers, that writes books by the numbers, then also kills people by the numbers. Not an organization I want to be part of. I don't know about you. Now, from L. Ron Hubbard's birthday. Okay, and he was born in 3/13 of 1911. Like we said, 911 right there. To David Miscavige's birthday, which was April 30 of 1960. What do you notice? 49 years, a month, and 17 days. Or basically their birthdays are a month and 17 days apart, you could say. Right? Well, why is that important? I mean, we only mention that in every single decode we do. Repeatedly. And that's because 117, this is a religious organization, right? In my opinion, a cult. Well, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob sum to 117. Now, we have talked about that before. It's like passing on the torch, man. If you're going to pass on the torch, you need a 117, like Abraham passed the torch to Isaac and on to Jacob, So, let's talk about some more things here about these guys. Now, Las Vegas is their main headquarters, as we said before. And you'll see it sums to 86 and 23 and 49. Well, what they do is they work on your Thetan. Is it just me, or does that sound a little too much like Satan? That's kind of weird. But this is their word for your soul. So apparently, your soul is something that sounds like Satan, I guess. I don't know. And it's 68, the reflection of 86. 23 and 94, the reflection of 49. So basically, he just made up a word to match where he was at. I mean, this is really, when it comes down to it, that's kind of how it works. So how do you work on your Satanism, or your on your Thetan? I guess, okay, it's a noun. So how do you work on your Thetan or your soul? Or okay, it's totally a word he made up. Okay, it did not exist, I don't think. I mean, if it did, it meant something totally different. Okay, you can look it up and find out for yourself, but definitely he put a new twist on that word. Well, what do you do to work on your Thetan? Well, you have to take an audit, and I'll explain that. Okay, which is pi in Jewish gematria. Yeah, what are the chances of that? 314. Yeah, 3.14 is pi. And through this process of auditing, which is 85 and 131, you go and you do your best to get rid of the engrams, okay? And engram sums to 58, the reflection of 85, and 31, like auditing was 131, you see? Isn't that interesting? And how do you get rid of your engrams through this auditing process? Well, you have this, and I seen one of these, folks, when I took the tour. Okay, you have to use an e-meter. That's right. 96 and 33 and reverse ordinal and reverse full reduction. We already said 96 is like Saturn, 69, you know. 33 is like, you know, clear, and Saturn, and 33 is the ritual completion. So you're using your e-meter to become a clear. In Clearwater. You know, if you're at the Clearwater branch, which is where I was near, okay, you have to become a clear in Clearwater. What are the chances that they would pick Clearwater to become a clear? I mean, that's not an accident, guys. Come on, wake up. They're using gematria. It's all by the numbers. They're using this sacred geometry and these numbers for their own dark purposes, even to kill people at times, in my opinion. So let's look at the wife of old Sue Hubbard, or the wife of L. Ron Hubbard, Sue Hubbard. And in septenary, you'll see that her number is 43. Interestingly enough, she's a 38 too, and I'm kind of curious if maybe she met her demise in a ritual way, like 61 is also sacrifice. I mean, but I didn't see any evidence of that, but I didn't look real deep, to be honest with you. But if you find out, by all means, do post some of that information. Share it with us, okay? Well, if there's anything we know about the Scientologists, they like to go after the movie stars, right? And who are their big hitters? Of course, one of them's dead, but John Travolta, who is also 43 in septenary, and look at that, 69 Saturn, big Saturn worshiper, no shocker there. And the one that's dead, Michael Jackson, boy, he was with them, wasn't he? 43 in septenary, and 83 again. It's like Sue Hubbard. Now, the one most people talk about today is old Tom Cruise. So he's 40 and 51. Okay, 40 in septenary, or not 51, 57 in reverse full reduction. Well, this might surprise you, but Charles Manson, yes, in prison, briefly joined this religion, also 40 in septenary. And you saw that Tom Cruise was also 57, kind of like Ann Archer, also 57, and a 33. She must have been a clear, right? So, and yeah, there are plenty of celebrities that didn't match this, but they're not their big heavy hitters, you know. It's like their inner circle. These ones, you know, they're the primes, or whatever you want to call it. The alphas, the ones that really get the attention, the ones that really attract people. Honestly, I just was reading on here a little bit ago and found out that Greta Van Susteren from Fox News is a Scientologist. Who knew? Maybe you did. I did not know that. I just thought she was just an ugly old woman. Apparently she's a kook as well. Who knew? And you don't think Fox does things by the numbers just like all the other news agencies and everything? They're all about that. You know, and that means that these Scientologists are making headway. They're definitely getting their tentacles into things. And not surprisingly, because they're in the same gematria system as all the big networks and everything that's run by the Jewish interests. You know, the false Jews, the synagogue of Satan of this world. They're just part of it. So, well, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to me talk about Scientologists and John Candy. So thanks for listening, and please like, share, and subscribe.